the whole promotion exam is now beginning. My only thing, just because it was set up at the start, and I figured I might as well just comment because I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I was really hoping that the three Yozakura siblings that were going to the exam to be judges weren't the only ones. I was really hoping to see some of the other gold ranking people, but like at least one, maybe two, of just completely cut off from like the main cast. I'd really like that because I want to see the large scale structure of like the whole spy system and like people on caliber with them. I don't gotta see every single person, but I would like to see some new faces. I think was the last person was the one chick that really tall chick with the eye patch. I'm pretty sure she's gold ranked. Either way, not too relevant to the chapter. Just something that I definitely wanted to comment on because I was like, I was reading it and I remember there was a part where they said there were 3 judges or you have to get 3 signatures. Maybe it's only like you have to pass 3 exams and there's more than 3. I don't really know. We're gonna have to wait for future chapters to figure that out. Because I don't think they mentioned anything of like a number of times in the exam. I just know that there were 3. But it would be pretty cool if it's like maybe there's 5 and you're allowed to fail 2, but you have to get 3 by the end. I don't really know. Either way, because that would make sense to me. I would assume that for silver ranked, there is room for failure. Like you have to be really good, and you have to obviously like 3 out of 5 is still passing. You're still doing better overall, but I would assume that like you'd at least get 1 fail, like and then the idea if it's like more than 3, but I feel like if it's just 4, it's just like cares then. But I would be okay with it if there was just 1 extra. Like I said, I do want to see a new character. But the chapter pretty much was just kind of setting up the event, kind of like getting information out there. We have that there's like 1,000 bronze ranks around in the world, and every time they have one of these exams, around 20 to 30% of them end up participating. So, you know, to 200 to 300 people. And one of them that's there is like this camera dude. I guess he works for the magazine, like in the world, the Spy Day or whatever. And he's like talking to Tayo because, you know, this dude's got, he's got a fanboyism of the Yozakura family, and here's somebody directly connect him. He reminds me of Jason from Fairy Tail. He's like a character that exists within their world to be hyped about the other characters. I'd be willing to bet this guy's going to be a little different just based off the fact he is a spy, so he's going to be able to actually fight. He's going to actually be able to kind of like do his own thing, and he doesn't get knocked out immediately, so I assume he can pull his own weight. Like, is he on level with Tayo? Who knows, but well, I would say definitely not altogether because like Tayo's got blooming and stuff. But we'll see exactly how that's all gonna go down. Like it tells you like Shinzo shows up during the chapter. You know, we get information on like the game. Like it's pretty much a game of tag, and you have to get to him. But he's got all these different weapons, and it's funny because he's got his blooming power. I really doubt he's gonna use that in this situation. But in the real scope of things, how difficult it would be to go against him in this. Like, in this scenario with, like, all these people who should be fodder to him in reality. Like getting them is one thing, but obviously, like, in a straight fight, like, he would body all these guys. Because he takes out most of them just from his opening attack. Like, just his opening move, like, takes out... I think that they said 2/3 of the, like, the total guys there. So there's only around 100 people left already. And the camera guy, I'm so curious to know what exactly he's going to do. Because at the end of the chapter, you see him holding his camera. Because it looks like he just, like, it either just misses or he dodges Shinzo's shot. Like, where Tayo blocks it. Tayo brings out his big gun sword, blocks it. But the other dude doesn't. And at the end of the chapter, he's holding his camera. And I'm like, are you participating? I don't think it was mentioned if he's just there. I'd have to go back and look. I know he's obviously in the whole thing kind of, like, set up. But I would assume that if he's dealing with the attacks, and then at the end of the chapter, like getting in like a position behind Tayo where it's like he's ready, to, for whatever else is to come. But I would assume based off that he's definitely competing to upgrade to silver, and not just he's not just part of the magazine and spectating. Because otherwise, I'd be like, dude, get out of the way. Like, try not to get shot. If you're just here to take pictures, move. Either way, though. This was actually a really quick chapter. I'd say it's probably one of the fastest to read I've seen in the series, just because it was like really, really focused on just a couple of things. It was really just to set off this first event. Like you have You know, the camera dude, what is his name, Usa? Like, you have him, and it's pretty much just kind of like telling a little bit about his side, and then Shinzo comes in, and you know, we get the whole like characters reacting to Shinzo. They think he's a little bit awkward, and you know, he's nervous about it, but then he explains the game. He's like, oh, you know, I have a fingerprint layer on me, so if you manage to grab me, I'm gonna know for a fact. And then he like pulls out the you know, the all the guns, like I said, just get rocket launchers, machine guns, you get all these different weapons, and again, it's like, this is his starting thing. And he's got powers, but it's crazy to see, like, he just got all these different guns and weapons just prepped up and ready to go just to unleash on all these dudes. He does have modified bullets. He says he's got knockout bullets, so they won't kill them. It'll just kind of knock them unconscious for a day. So he's got, like, he thought ahead. He's prepped. He's not trying to get anybody murdered, but he's not trying to, you know, realistically hold back his skills, just his firepower that goes in them, you know. It would be like, you know, if you're a swordsman, if you decided to fight somebody with a dull blade, you can still use all of your general kind of motions and skills, because you don't have to worry about just ending everybody on a single move. Like if you're gonna fight somebody way weaker than you. Shinzo, Taiyo, I would assume like he'd be fine even if he was using real bullets, because he should be able to, I would assume, use his blooming power and harden and tank the bullets anyway. I would assume that his power would automatically beat just, you know, knockout bullets. I don't know. Is he gonna use it? It would make sense to me of why he could, like, he wouldn't, like if it was against the rules or something. But it would make sense also to me of like why it wouldn't be considered. But if this is an event that does, it can be affected by a Yozakura person attending. So I would assume they would have like a rule on blooming powers, because then it'd just be one-sided. Because outside of like blooming and things related to blooming, like there was the whole somnum, or however it's pronounced, artificial power kind of drug that that Kawashita had, the rest of the people in the world just seem to be like really skilled. They have like that peak human, you know, super spy abilities, but they don't have powers. Like whereas like, you know, the people under Kawashita and the Yozakura family actually have abilities. It would make sense of why people would be like, yeah, don't use that here. Don't do that, because it's not something that would be relatively new. And I would assume that in most cases not Kawashita, anyone Yozakura like set, Taiyo included, would probably not run into many scenarios that they think would require their blooming, because none of them use it kind of just like for no reason. Is that like, we don't have like a power system or anything that like would say like using your bloom, like what does it drain? Like maybe there's like only so much you can use it in a day, like a time limit on it, or like an effect thing. You know, to think of it just kind of like, oh, you know, a muscle, like you have to keep it to a certain extent or something, or it can just kind of get used so much before it gets drained. Either way, that's to me at least actually probably the big question I have going forward, is like Taiyo's blooming in this whole thing. Because I don't expect this to be like a life and death situation from the, like, kind of like, you know, what we saw with the last arc, where he's against this bad guy that might murder him at any point or anything like that. I would assume that these are going to be very serious. Like this competition is going to be very serious. This whole trial is going to be serious, but it's not going to be to the point where he thinks that he's in a spot like, I have to use my power, I'm going to die. We'll see though. We'll see. Just, this is the first person, and obviously when we get to like Koichiro and stuff, like he's going to treat the participants way differently. But anyway, other than that though, comment below, tell me your thoughts about this chapter, tell me your thoughts about what's going on in Mission Yozakura. This is going to be a fun arc. I'm curious to know how long it's going to be. I think this is a very good pick for the follow-up over the last arc, because it still has a serious setting and it has reasoning that makes sense of why it's all going on. But like I said, it's not like you're against like a bunch of murderers and like hired thugs on like an island with like a bad guy. You're in a competition. You're in a competition to get promoted at work, essentially. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, like I said, and I'd really appreciate it if you thumbs up the video for the like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But that, I appreciate everybody who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.